Hey friends, Wyant here from Wagon Advisors, and I want to talk to you about something that's recently come up in my life, and it's chapter 3 in my book, Wake Up Call. Please go get the book. And it's around partnerships. I have a friend who's recently going through a change in his partnership, and we were talking about this, and it just reminded me of in the book how I talked about this. You know, my partnership came to an end as well 5 years ago, and there's many things that I did to contribute to that, and other people as well, of course. But I think it's important to understand that unfortunately, almost all partnerships come to an end. Part of the problem is that they're going to end either in death or you're going to retire. Very few partnerships last forever. Of course, there are unique ones and trusts and whatnot, but we're just talking about a normal partnership. The other challenge is that partnerships end because they're not made on good foundations. And often you get in business a partnership of two friends or 3 or 4 people possibly who were friends or work together, and they go, this is a great idea, let's start a business. And I'd love to talk to you all day long about operating agreements, how to write them, what's considered, and I hate the word fair, but you know, because I think it's the F word in business, but what could be considered fair in an operating agreement, how to best structure it for all parties. But the more important thing I want to talk about today, and it's in my book, and it's the thing I stress to people all the time when talking about partnerships, is how do you structure one so that it lasts, so it doesn't end abruptly, and that if it does end, you see it coming. Because in my book, that's what I talk about, most partners don't see it coming. You're not going to want to hear this, and it's going to be a little cringy, but I'm going to tell you, a partnership is very similar to a marriage. Now, the problem with a partnership is that most people go into them thinking, well, I've been in partnerships before, and you have. We do many partnerships constantly, whether it's in business or in life. We're constantly developing partnerships. So you go into a major partnership, one in which you have an operating agreement and you have business together and you have assets and you're trying to make money together. You go into that thinking, well, I can be a good partner. Well, that's just like going into marriage without really considering the ramifications of marriage because you dated somebody or you were in love once. Doesn't mean you're ready to be married or even going to be good at being married. And over time, you may not be good at being married. Now, again, as cringy as it sounds, it is a lot like a marriage. And you have to constantly work on your partnership. And that's what I want to talk about today. That's the pro tip from this video. If you're in a partnership, you have to constantly work on it. You can't assume that because you knew each other really well and you worked together at IBM or wherever and that you start this business together, that that's going to go on forever. It takes constant, and I mean constant, like weekly work to make sure you're in a great partnership. Now, I have some friends and some clients who are in great partnerships, and I've seen them work at it and make it work. And what ends up happening, and one of the things that was a challenge in my partnership, is that we did not work at it. Eventually, we stopped putting the work in, and then eventually we ended the partnership. And that was really unfortunate. In some ways, maybe other ways it was good because it was necessary, but it could have been better if we would have put the work in. So one of the things I'll tell you is that if you're in a partnership and you want to last, then put the work in to make it a great partnership and have those conversations, talk about those things you need to talk about in order to make it work. I'm Wade Wyant. I'd love to tell you more, but you got to call me if you want to know the rest of the pro tips and how can you develop a great operating agreement. FYI, this is for information only. I'm not giving any legal advice. I'm not an attorney, so when it comes to your partnership, be sure to talk to an attorney or someone who can practice law.